morning, Comasterans, especially to our professor, Sir Leandro Torion, Doctor of Philosophy. My task this morning is to report all about the topic Progressivism Philosophy in Education. Here are the objectives of my topic. Number one, define progressivism. Number two, identify the different teaching methods used in progressivism philosophy of education. And number three, explain the advantages and disadvantages of progressivism philosophy of education. Okay, we have here a picture. As what you have seen in the picture, okay, this progressivism philosophy in education is more on activities. You are letting the students perform some activities for them to learn, since this philosophy believes on the saying, learning by doing. Introduction. It is an American philosophy which is a revolt against the formal, conventional, traditional system of education. It became popular in 1929, where the economic depression of the USA adversely affected the educational system of the country. The principles underlying progressive education have influenced the modern educational theories and practices to a very great extent all over the world. So this progressive philosophy in education is an American philosophy. So this was created as a revolt against the formal, conventional, and traditional system of education in that country. Okay, meaning education is centered around for the present life itself. The development of an individual and the society is only possible when education facilitates the growth of every phase of the child. So according to this philosophy, so the development of an individual and the society will become only possible when education facilitates all the facets of life of the learner. Definition. Progressivism is a theory of education that is concerned with learning by doing. That children learn best when pursuing their own interests and satisfying their own needs. So it is really very true that students learn best when they are pursuing their own interest. That's what we have observed in our classes. If students are not interested in our lesson, they will become passive and they will not participate in our class discussion. Progressivists believe that people learn best from what they consider most relevant to their lives. Progressivists center curriculum on their needs, experience, interest, and abilities of students, provoke curiosity in students. So it is also really very true that students will learn best from what they consider important to their lives. So if they feel that a certain topic or lesson is not important, so they will also show less interest. That will result that they will not participate. And the worst thing is they will not listen during the class discussion. Okay, so as what you have seen on the picture, okay, so this philosophy of education is more on hands-on activities. So students are engaged in an activities. They are going to do some task. Then from doing that a certain task or activities, okay, they are going to learn. Exponents. So these are the persons responsible for the creation of this progressivism philosophy in education. We have John Dewey, William James, G. Thomas Lawrence, William Kilpatrick, and a large number of schools in Europe and United States of America where it started. Okay, let us talk on John Dewey. John Dewey is an American philosopher, psychologist, and educational reformer. His philosophy is based on pragmatism. Okay, when we say pragmatism, it is a philosophy that is marked by the doctrines that the meaning of conceptions is to be sought in their practical bearings, that the function of thought is to guide action, and that truth is permanently to be tested by the practical consequences of belief. Okay, he established laboratory schools in 1896. He was the father of educational psychology. He introduced progressive method of teaching, then he believed that book learning was no substitute for actually doing things. So John Dewey is one of the proponents of this progressivism philosophy of education. Okay, what is progressivism? So we have heard the definition of progressivism. Progressivism is an educational philosophy which is grounded in pure philosophy of pragmatism. Then pragmatic ontology holds the reality in the area of everyday life, personal experience. Its view is that ideas should be tested for their utility. Progressivism focuses on real-world problem and individual development. So this progressivism philosophy in education is more on learning by doing. So meaning what you learn, you will apply it on a real life situation. Characteristics of progressivism: it emphasizes on learning by doing. So as what I have said, it is more on activities. Students will be engaged in doing some activities in order to learn. We have hands-on projects, so we'll perform some projects. Experiential learning, so you will let them experience in order to learn. Integrated curriculum focused on thematic units, strong emphasis on problem solving and critical thinking. So meaning you are going to engage students or to solve some problems and develop critical thinking. Group work and development of social skills. So there will be group works in order to develop social skills of the students, understanding and action as the goals of learning as opposed to rote knowledge. Collaborative and cooperative learning projects. So students are going to perform collaborative and cooperative learning projects. Education for social responsibility and democracy. Okay, let us proceed now to educational progressivism. Educational progressivism is a belief that education must be based on the principle that humans are social animals who learn best in real life activities with other people. So, this philosophy believes that uh, person learn best when they are together or working with other peoples and they are engaged in real life activities. The skills and tools of learning include problem solving methods and scientific inquiry. So, students must be engaged in solving a scientific method, then having scientific inquiry. Then learning experience include cooperative behaviors and self-discipline. So there should be cooperation since they are involved in group activity. Then in order to perform well in their group, so they must have self-discipline. Schools can transmit the culture of society while it prepares students in the changing world. So in this philosophy, still, schools can transmit the culture of society while preparing the students in the changing world. This philosophy places emphasis on how to think and nor what to think. Progressive education focuses on the child as the learner rather than the subject. Emphasized activities and experiences rather than verbal and literary skills, and encourage cooperative group learning activities rather than competitive, individualized lesson plan. So on this progressive philosophy of education, so it is student-centered or learner-centered uh, education. So it is not focusing on the subject itself, but rather on the learner. Then it is more on cooperative rather than individualized learning. Okay, aims of education: to develop the personality of an individual through providing a democratic environment in the educational institutions, an all-around development of child. Number three, cooperative behavior and social participation. The number four, education of the whole man or whole personality, which includes the physical, emotional, social, intellectual aspects of the individual. So the aim of this progressivism philosophy of education is to be developed as develop a child in his whole personality. So not only one aspect but it includes all aspects of his personality. Progressivism and curriculum. It should be based on the actual giving environment to the child. It must reflect his daily life. Second, the curriculum is interdisciplinary in nature. Then number three, books and subject matter were part of the learning process rather than sources of ultimate knowledge. So the book and subject matter is only part of the learning process, and it is not the source of ultimate knowledge. So meaning, so students uh, will be the one to learn by themselves by giving some activities that will uh, enable them to learn. Then number four, curriculum is based on students' interest, then involves the application of human problems and affairs. So it is based on students' interest. As what this philosophy believe that students learn best when they are having or studying their own interest. Then number five, it uses the life experience approach to fit the student for future social action. So it is also considering experiences in order to prepare student for social interactions. Then the last one, curriculum is based on a specific group of students. Okay, curriculum includes political, moral, social, vocational, intellectual, mathematics, general science, languages, and integration of experiences. So these are the curriculums included in this progressivism philosophy in education. Progressivism and method of teaching. Okay, so it includes number one, project method, where there is an active participation of the pupils or students in learning. So the teacher must give some project uh, that will uh, that will lead students in learning the subject matter or the topic being taught. Number two, socialized method. So to bring all the individual into a group system of interaction. So there must be also a group activity in order to bring individual into a group, then develop his or her social skills. Then conferences, there must be conferences, demonstration. So students will be the one to demonstrate. Then the teacher will only guide or supervises the students. Group work, yes, there is a group activity. Role play, debates where students can express his or her own ideas on a certain topic. Inquiry, so students can also ask questions. Discussions, so there will be discussions or an interaction between teachers and students. Then planning and participation of the activities. Okay, progressivism and the teacher. The human elements, human beings are given more importance. The teacher has to meet the needs of pupil or students as a good human being. Then teacher act only as a facilitator or guide. The number three, the teacher must determine students' interest. The number four, stimulate direct learning process. The teacher who is vital in education process and having richer, superior experience and can analyze the present situation. The teacher will act as a stage sitter, guide, and coordinator, but he is not total authority, just he guides the situation. So, meaning the teacher will only serve as a facilitator or a guide for the learning process. It is still a student who will perform the task or the activities in order for them to learn. Progressivism and the school. School is a cooperative enterprise. It must provide conductive environment for democratic growth of the child. So still, the school must be conducive to learning in order for the students or the learner to learn. Evaluation. Assessment by evaluation of child's project and productions. Number two, assessment by the class presentation or workshop organized by group. of learners. So there will be assessment on the presentation or workshop organized by a group. Then there should be also quizzes or oral questioning. There will be also feedbacking, performance-based assessment. So you will rate the students based on their performance of a certain task or a certain project. Observation. So there will be a rating based on observation, what you observe on the performance of the students. Then multiple choice question. Okay, so still there is a multiple choice question. Criticism. The critics of progressive method of teaching say that the pupils in the progressive classrooms lack in the discipline. Progressivism system of education required more funding or budget. Countries are not that much strong financially or have budget to provide material for practical work. The role of teacher is only to facilitate or guide, means not required to be expert in their subject matter. So these are some of the criticisms with regards to progressivism philosophy of education. So according to them, okay, it requires more funding or budget. Yes, it is really very true since this philosophy of education is more on a group activity or having some uh, activity which requires some materials. Then uh, it is also stated here that the teacher is only a guide, and since he is only a guide, so it means he's not required to be an expert on his or her subject matter. So, but I think uh, this is not true, since in order to facilitate or guide clearly the students, a teacher must be knowledgeable enough about his or her subject matter. Okay, summary of my report. Okay, so progressivism is learning by doing. That children learn best when pursuing their own interests and satisfying their own needs. Then aims helping individuals how to solve problems, providing student freedom to pursue their interests. So this progressivism philosophy, okay, it helps students or individual to solve problems. Then it will provide them freedom to pursue their interest. Then how this philosophy treats students? Okay, all students have value and dignity. Their needs and interests respected and given priority. That is why this philosophy allows a student to pursue their own interest. So their interest is given more emphasis on this philosophy. Okay, what is taught? Student construct knowledge from what they see, hear, and do. Process of knowing is more important than product. Okay, who decides what to teach? Okay, it is not the teacher, but it is the student who decide what is worth knowing. Teachers uses the student's interest. So as what I have said, this philosophy, okay, focuses on student interest. So it is the student who decides what is worth knowing. As this philosophy believes that students learn best when they are pursuing their own interest. Then curriculum, broad curriculum including arts and vocational studies, emphasis on natural and social sciences. Okay, role of teacher. The role of teacher is to stimulate students and guide their interest. So the teacher will only act as a facilitator or guide. Then he he or she should engage students in meaningful games, use field trips. Then teacher serves as a facilitator. Instructional method. Okay, constructive and cooperative learning is prepared. So it is more on constructive and cooperative rather than lecture method. Okay, that is all about my report. Okay, here are my references. So I hope that uh, you have learned something from my report. Okay, thank you for listening, and God bless us all. Happy weekend, everyone.